a huge financial cost for the child, even being brought up in India because of this, and for whoever took the child as well, has a huge financial burden then, and then perhaps there's a huge financial burden for the child to try to even fix everything, undo everything that was done, try to get all the paperwork, legal paperwork from the United States all fixed up, and then finding that dad, wherever that dad may be at this point in time, to help fix up all this legal paperwork in the United States. That's even another challenge in itself.
And yet, people in the nick of the moment, when they're very angry, they take these decisions that unilaterally complicate the child's life forever. I know even the taking parent wouldn't want to do that, let alone the issues between taking and left behind parent, but both of them equally love the child. That's why this
Right.
issue is there. And so many parents who have left for India second guess their choice. I want to say 6 months to 1 year down the line, when reality starts to settle in. They're
Right.
accustomed to life in the US, right? They've spent years and years living here, and now they're back to a very different set of culture. They are finding it hard for themselves, like to adjust to that kind of life. On top of that, the child is struggling, finances are bleak, and there's no end in sight. And now they know that they're scared to even come back, because they don't know if the take left behind parent has actually initiated something criminal against them in the US. There's no way of knowing. So
Right.
let alone the US, if they want to go back to the UK, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, any of these countries that are all Hague signatories, they're going to be shit scared, because a Hague case could then be started again. Excuse my language.
That's
So
okay.
all this reality comes, nobody's telling you that in books, it comes after you've already taken the step, and now it's hounding you and you don't know how to undo it. So I'm also talking to the taking parents here, that think long and hard before you take the step, because it's very difficult to undo it once you've done it.
Yeah, it's almost like they need like a cool off period. Like when you buy a house or a car, you have like a cool off period before, like, you sure you want to do this? Like, do you know what's
Yeah.
about to do to happen to
Yeah.
you?
100%. I also think that we both the countries could benefit from judicial training.
Yeah.
Judges in both the countries ought to, like, the countries ought to make sure that the judges are frequently informed about this particular issue. It's not that common, IPCA comes, it's not a regular child custody case, and it's very easy for anybody on that chair to confuse it with a regular custody case, which it is not. uh,
Right.
if the judges would know the other side of the story, like the not just what's being fed on, like that the gender nuance that I was talking about earlier, but judicial training on for judges in India and also for the judges in the US would really mean a lot in a situation like that, especially concerning IPCA and its long-term effects on the child and both the parents.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. But I think culturally, I think that's the hardest part, right? How two different systems can interact, right? Yeah, having that I spend plenty of time bouncing around Latin America and now in the Asia, even I see is like, wow, like there's just the culture of the way they approach things is so different. Even though I'm like Latin myself, right? Even when I was living in Latin America, I was like, I wouldn't approach these things. It's very, very different. So I'm thinking, even if you have the same, I don't know, there's certain laws like the culturally, the judicial system may still have some different ways of going about it, how they view things. In Japan, it's basically a 180. They see everything. You see a white, they see a black, and I'm like, wow, okay, it's
And
interesting.
it's Japan also is more like, but again, gender nuanced perspectives are very prevalent there. They're trying to change it a lot. They're ahead of India, I would say. I don't know how successful, like how quick it would be, but definitely they're miles ahead from India in that respect. Like they're at least making some changes. India has just not budged. So.
Well, they signed the Hague about 10 years ago, but they haven't really enforced it. And yes, you are correct. They
The
passed
joint custody
legislative.
law.
That's correct. They did, in
Yeah.
fact. However, far as I know from what I read, it's not enforceable. The other parent must agree to it. So, I mean, and a lot of it was to just to please international pressure. And I think when you understand the culture a little bit on the deeper side, you see that they like to appease to the international community, but it's also it's all like a facade sometimes, right? Because this is where the culture difference comes into. Because now that I know a little bit more about Japan, for them when a marriage ends is like the other person's dead
You're right.
culturally.
100%.
So now you're asking this culture to like actually change your mind. They're not dead. Now you have to share your parent with them. And oh, sorry, share the child with them is like, wait, but I didn't brought up that they're dead after we no longer have a relationship. Like, how do I do that culture shift? And then people ask me like, well, Japan, they have a huge population. It's like, yeah, it's because like divorces are happening and people are finding out that through divorce they can't see their kids anymore. Like, well, I don't want to take part of this. And they hear through friends as they're growing up, like, well, I didn't have a dad, I didn't have a mom. It's like, well, I don't want to kind of go through this again and have be in this situation myself. So then you have a massive, huge population decline. But these are the things people don't bring up. But this is the real reason why Japan's declining in population a lot. It's not the cost. The cost of living in Japan is substantially less. I would say that yeah, I mean, I've been to 70 something odd countries at this point in time since I left the US 4 years ago, and I lived there for several months at each country. But Japan's not expensive. There's other countries in the third world that are more expensive than Japan.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so when they tell me it's expensive to raise a child, they're like, I'm not buying that.
Also, with the recent joint custody shift, there's loopholes to that also. For instance, if there's domestic violence allegations, then the joint custody
Correct.
norm doesn't apply.
Correct.
So there's always loopholes that I've seen with Japan, yes. And same goes for the grave risk of harm exception. They've expanded it so much under the Hague that almost anything goes, which is totally against the basic tenets of the Hague. These exceptions were supposed to be interpreted very narrowly, which is not happening in Japan. The exception has been given a very broad scope, which honestly I feel if India were to sign the Hague Abduction Convention, that issue will come up in India also. Anything and everything will go under the grave risk of harm exception. And so I'm starting to also think whether signing the convention alone will fix anything. Over the years, initially, when I was also new in the field, I thought it would. Right now, because of the massive size of Indian culture, I also have doubts in that because this one exception will change everything. Anything and everything will come under it, and it'll still be the same.
Yeah, and it's easy to falsify that evidence, or sometimes they don't even ask for it. They're just like, oh, okay, yeah, it's yeah,
You've
we don't
said
need
it,
to.
that's good enough for us. Yeah, yeah. There was a case in New York. The the mother made all kind of nasty allegations against the father, child sexual abuse, all that. All of them were found unfounded. She still left for India, irrespective of the fact that those allegations were unfounded, irrespective of the fact that she was the one who started a custody and a divorce case in New York and then fled. The courts in India still entertained her custody petition, and the father's habeas corpus in High Court and Supreme Court was dismissed. He was asked to appear before the regular family court, the lower court. It's been years and years, and he's not seen the child more than once, and that too in a courtroom setting for 2 hours. So, uh, the bigger question, I think, Enrique, is whether just signing the Hague Convention will fix everything. No, it's a step. It's one of the steps in a long list of steps that will fix it. But it's not the ultimate answer, which is something that I've come to realize over the years. I started with yes, and I'm now coming to a conclusion that it's not that simple.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of steps to be taken. I think education is a big one here. I blame on people the cost of
And
this.
in judicial training, more than
Yes,
education, like judges need to know. Even if the parties, the lawyers might not understand it, the problem is that these issues are brought up rarely, ever, if ever, and nobody's talking about them. And a judge who has never ever handled an IPCA case before will only go by precedent. They will look at whatever cases were held before, and nobody will ever go to the root cause of what this whole issue is all about. So, uh, yes, sign the Hague Convention, but really, really emphasize on judicial training of
true.
judges across the world, not just India, not just the US, but
Yeah.
all the judges everywhere, family law
Compress
judges.
that timeline too. Compress it,
Yeah.
make it affordable. That's the other thing. The affordability is because I see a lot of people that go in financial ruin going through this process.
Yeah. And also interim relief. Let's say the appellate system is taking whatever time, the timeline is expanding into infinity. But that doesn't mean that you can't, in the interim, have access to your child. So if appeals are pending, whatever is happening, there should be very robust measures, very strong measures for the court to ensure that the parent, the left behind
Agree.
parent, isn't totally left behind, the left without the child. Uh, Video access, if nothing else, how difficult can that be, right? Like just a FaceTime every day, but these things don't happen. It's easy to say. When the parents decide that they're not letting the other parents see the child, then it's just
I
horrible.
agree. Maybe it should be more on the opposite side, since you don't want to be cooperative and speed this thing timeline up. The child must see the other parent more than often than not. Maybe that way, and in the course enforce it, since you're not want to help make this progress towards it, the other parent gets to see the child every single day for it, and it has to be enforced
Yeah.
until you guys come to some sort of agreement, and then that forces the other parent, like, oh, okay, Jesus, I got to do it, no matter what.
Yeah, and that also discourages abduction, right? Like
Sure.
when this system is totally put in place, where we know that even if a country like India hasn't signed the Hague Abduction Convention, they're not signing it. Whatever their reasons are, domestic violence, gender issues, all that, not signing it. But that doesn't mean that when the child is already in India, the other parent won't get to speak to the child once a day or like thrice a week. If that rule is set in stone, if you're enforcing that diligently, it will automatically discourage abduction. I,
100%.
yeah,
And everybody has an iPad or phone today that they can do video chat. So it's like that's not an excuse.
yeah. But I don't know if you've heard the excuses I
Uh,
have. Oh my,
no power, no Wi-Fi, no electricity, no phone.
not
I've
the
heard them
child
all.
is not well, I'm not well. If it's not happening, it's not happening. There's so many ways to not let it happen. But who tell me who suffers? The child the most.
100%. Yeah, 100% the child suffers. I've seen that in several cases, and their self-esteem really takes a toll.
It does.
Yeah, and it's sad to see, but but there's other cases where the child is very strong and they reunite. But so I tell parents, like, I tell parents to go and pray, try to be nice and amicable as much as possible, because people want to talk to people who are amicable and can come up to talk to easily, instead of somebody who's angry. So be
Yeah.
approachable. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for your time. I know I've taken, I know we talked about 30 minutes, but now we're like close to an hour here. In closing is, like, where can people find you? And I'll put the
For
information
now,
in the description as well for people to find you as well.
yeah, I'm going to provide you with all that information that you can put in the description. For now, the easiest way to reach out to me is LinkedIn. I'm fairly active there, and once I have my website up and ready, I'll share that with you. You're welcome to share that information in the link. Yeah.
Will do. I'll add it to the description. Well, thank you. It was a pleasure having you.
It was so much fun to speak to you, Enrique. Honestly, I thought it'll last up to half an hour, but we've gone way above that the line, but it's okay. Yeah, I had a
Yeah,
lot of fun. And most importantly, thank you for bringing attention to this issue. Not many people are talking about it, but thank you for doing that.
you're very welcome. You have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye. Take care.
Bye bye.